Well, right then folks, another evening, another half a tonne of barrowing to be done. So we'll just get you on barrow cam, go down to the plot, show you what's been going on. So yeah, like I said, I've been barrowing loads of gravel over the last few nights. Got arms like a gorilla now. I don't think this camera's going to last so long. So we'll get to the plot. I've been pulling my finger out the last couple of weeks, got a right load of stuff done. A few new projects. It's been quite tiring, but we've got there in the end, and I'm pretty pleased, to be honest. So let's just get on down and I'll show you what's been going, show you what's growing. Oh dear, show you what's ready to harvest and have a look at all the, oh dear, all the stuff that's ready to go. So onwards and upwards. That's the idea that was. Hi ho, hi ho. Right, we're in. Woo. Well, right then folks, here we are on the new project, and the reason for all the gravel is, ta-da, the new shrubbery. I just fancied growing some shrubs, some evergreens, so I've got some colour all year. And this was in a part of the garden where all I used to ever grow when I used to grow them was my marrows. And in the last couple of years I haven't grown anything, and it's just become a dumping ground for rubbish. So I thought, why not cover it all up in weed membrane, get a few nice plants and make yourself a bit of a garden. So I did. And believe me, these plants were not dear at all. Not considering, you know, they're quite good specimens, if I show you. Got them from B&Q. And they worked out, after discount and multi-buying and all that, £4 each, that's all. So there's only about 30 quid of the plants in the whole lot. So I thought that was pretty good actually. And they're all in really good nick, because I think they just come in on the trailer. So they're obviously fresh from the nursery, and they've not been neglected by the good old B&Q staff for 2 months and left to die. So pretty good deal. So yeah, I thought I'd get a few of these shrubs. Some of these grow to about 10 foot tall, 6 foot wide, so they might look a bit sparse now, but what I did at home by made a mistake was I planted similar sort of things about 2 feet apart, and now it's just like this giant hedge. So I've given them all a bit of space for them to grow into. So we've got a Mahoneya here. Apparently it grows to about 10 foot tall, nice red leaves in autumn. And we've got a euonymus. It's quite a bushy thing. I don't think they grow too big, these, maybe about 6 foot, 8 foot tall. And then I've got an Akuba japonica, which is a variegated bay sort of thing. They can get quite big, but they're tough as old boots. You can chop them right back and they'll sprout back from nothing. And one of my favourite plants is Mahoneya, which flowers in like December, January. Lovely little yellow flowers, so it's, you know, a bit of interest over winter. Got a few ivies and stuff like that. I've got a columnaris, which is a sort of a columnar kind of cypress kind of tree thingy. Cordyline australis, tiny yet, but they're the ones that when they keep growing they end up like a big palm tree with the stalk with a big stem. Got a few of these grasses. They're only little now, but they will clump up. I haven't planted them out yet. That was a blue one, bright blue apparently, so that should be quite interesting. And then we've got a bay tree there. Again, they can grow quite big. And I've got a few hostas in pots. I grow quite a lot of hostas at home. I might just keep them in pots, or I might risk growing them in the soil, because if it's covered in gravel like this, it should keep the slugs down. And I don't seem to get much trouble with them in the pots, but you never know with the old planting them in the ground. So that's the shrubbery. I'm pretty pleased with that. It's taken a lot of work, a lot of barrowing. Put myself a little weed fence up there. It's not for any reason, but just to keep the weeds growing through it. I think it should look pretty good. Oh, and another thing which I'm really chuffed with, I bought this half a whiskey barrel We've got a local salvage yard and I found it, and it was only 30 quid, and it's just fantastic. It looks so medieval, so I'm going to plant that up with something. No idea what. Anyone's got any ideas? Maybe alpine, something like that, but I think that'll look really good, because I'm really pleased with that. So I'll just walk you around the rest of the plot, show you how things are going. These are the leeks I planted about 10 days ago. They've all taken now. Some of them are starting to stand upright, so they've obviously rooted. Can't pull them out, and there's none of them withered, so they've obviously taken root. They've struck. This is the old square yard onion bit. There's about 90 onions in there. They're nowhere near as big as the other ones I've got, but like I said, it was just a bit of an experiment. Cabbages are looking good, nice and clean, no slug damage, no butterfly damage, because they're in this netted off box. They're just the sort of spring green and pointy ones. They're just greyhound. They're nothing fancy. But the benefit with those is that you can take them as spring greens, or you can let them heart up into a nice pointy one. Cauliflowers, only grown 6, but again they're looking healthy enough. No pests on them or anything. This is where I planted the rest of my spare banana shallots, in there. Again, a little bit closer than normal, but we'll see. They'll probably be smaller, but that's not a big deal. Don't mind a few smaller ones. A few more spare little leeks. Rhubarb's been absolutely amazing so far this year. Really brilliant red colour and so sweet. We've had quite a lot of it, so I don't know why, but it's been really good this year. So into my little wildlife pond, the old Bog Iris have come out. Lovely little plants. I've been scooping this duckweed out incessantly. If you can see, there's a big pile of it there, but I've still not got on top of it, so I don't know what on earth's swimming about in there. So I'm just gonna have to keep scooping it out and netting it out, and then hopefully it'll clear up a little bit. But like I said, I can't see anything in there yet. Still loads of pond skaters and stuff going all over it, but don't know whether there's any taddies or anything, or frogs yet. Right, this is my freshly sort of constructed wildflower and perennial bit. These are some self-seeded oxeye daisies that have come out, and the old foxgloves are coming out. Got quite not a rare one, but not the run-of-the-mill, sort of a whitish colour one there. Should be nice. And these are some of the perennials I planted this year. They all seem to have taken. And then these are all the wildflowers I've sowed, all coming up. So another 6 weeks, should have a good riot of colour there. And then this is my favourite plant actually. This is an iris that I've had for years and years. Probably can't get in very close, but I just love how delicate they are. You don't get very many flowers for the area of the plant, but the ones that do come out are well worth it. So yeah, pretty good. Sweet peas, as ever, are so slow to go, but as soon as they do start going, they just seem to take off. But it's until they do, they just seem like they're never going to grow, so just got to be a bit patient really. Again, more rhubarb. Like I said, it's been wonderful this year so far. I've got tons of it, and it's all the same variety. Pink champagne, I'll try and show you. It's absolutely brilliantly dark red. You don't need to put any sugar on it whatsoever, because it is so naturally sweet. It's tender, don't have to peel it, not like that old green fibrous stuff you get when you let them go too old. So it's been wonderful this year, and we should be in for a crop of gooseberries. I don't know whether you can see any down there. There's quite a lot low hanging ones, and I've kept all the birds off with this netting. So I would say another 2 or 3 weeks, we should be in for a good old crop of gooseberries for a change. Not had any for about 2 years due to sawfly taking them and birds taking them, and then buds dropping off in the frost. But touch wood this year, no problems so far, and we should have a decent crop. So into the main bit, well not the main bit, where the polytunnel used to be. Got my second lot of lettuce in now. Sowed all those. These, believe it or not, are the dwarf peas. All got flowers on, but they're not particularly dwarf. They are still standing up without any you know, assistance, but judging by the amount of flowers, I don't think it's going to be a bumper crop, but we shall see. Spuds are doing really well. There's just some Sarpo Blue Mira, sorry, Sarpo Blue Danube and some Nicola, all doing well. Put a few supports up, just put a couple of bamboo canes across there, just that when they do get a little bit taller, it supports the leaves without them flopping about everywhere. What else? Planted some sunflowers. I've not really much ground. I've planted 2 in the beds, and then I've planted some in some pots. So I've got some big 30 litre pots full of proper soil. There's 2 or 3 in that one. Never grown them in pots before, so we'll see how they get on. I don't think the giant ones, they're just like bright orange coloured ones and red coloured ones these, so it should be quite interesting to see how they turn out. Lettuce is doing absolutely fantastically, ready to take now, some of the loose leaf ones. And look at that, I mean that's, I keep banging on about Marshall's seed, but compared to the rubbish I was growing last year, look at that, they're all basically identical. Looks like the front of a bloody seed catalogue, doesn't it? These are little gems, not far off, maybe another week or two before they put a little heart out. And these are the multi-green and the record. Again, not too big, but I'm going to start taking them at this size, because if I let them all grow to maturity now, then by the time I've eaten the rest of them, they're just going to be too big. So I'll just take them small like that, and then we should be good to go. Oh, I'll put my second lot of spring onions in there in clumps. The first lot are almost ready to harvest, I think now. Like I said, like with the onions, like with the lettuce, I'm going to start taking these small. You know, they're about as thick as a pencil, so another week, because I've got 20 clumps of about 6, so I might as well start taking them early. Then they're nice and tender, nice and oniony. But yeah, everything looking absolutely amazing so far in this bit. Really proud of these lettuces, looking absolutely spanking. So onto my main bed, where everything's growing really well. I've just got one problem, and that is I've found a few tiny little specks of rust on some of my garlic, which I never really suffer from. I've cut them off, they were just on some of the lower leaves, well in fact there's some on that. If I rip that off, I don't know whether you'll see it, tiny little rusty spots, and there's no prevention to it really. There's nothing you can do, there's nothing you can spray. The only suggestion is to try and take as many leaves off as you can before it starts to spread. But once you've got it, it tends to take hold, and then because I've got it this early, it's not looking too promising. If you get it late on when the bulbs have formed, then it's not a big deal. But if you get it now, when it still needs its leaves to make the bulbs grow, then depending on how much it takes over, could end up with a disastrous crop, which would be about a first for me. But then again, what can you do? Not a lot you can do. Onions are looking good this year. They're looking a lot slimmer in the neck than they usually do, because usually mine are really fat necked, because I didn't put anywhere near as much fertiliser in this year, because like I said, they get really fat necks, and they don't tend, well they store fine, but the necks don't seem to shrivel up very tightly. But the shallots looking fantastic compared to last year, that when they were a disaster. These are looking really good now. There's clumps of 1, 2, 3, all sorts. Could do with a bit of weeding. Look, they're about that size now, probably about the size of the onions, but like I said, I've got about 80 in here, so they're looking a darn sight better than those zebrun that I planted. I just hope people have had a bit more success with the zebrun, but it doesn't sound like they have this year. And I've got a couple of courgettes in, one over there, one over there. I've just put them in these rings just to give them a little bit of wind protection until they get a bit more substantial. And these are the Hurst green shaft normal peas, looking fantastic, looking really strong. No sign of any flowers yet, but it'll probably only be a couple of weeks before they start to flower, and then maybe 2 weeks after that we start getting a few peas. And then the carrots, this is the one where they all got eaten bar about 3 by the slug, so slug didn't get that or that, so I re-sowed, and as you can see they're coming on slowly, the replacements. This is a box full of, well, there's a couple missing in there. This one's just about 100%, a few weeds in. Looking quite good, looking quite strong now. And again, a slug got a few in there and a few in there. So I've lost about half a dozen, but I've still got about 60 odd growing. So they should be all right. And these are the ones that, the sweet candle, that are so sweet, and they'll keep all over winter if you just leave them in the sand without any problem whatsoever. I'll just show you me poppies. It's the only poppies I've got left now, just this little patch here, but they've had a really good show this year. I think what I'll do, I'll propagate some of these next year, and all you need to do is just dig a chunk of the root up and just plant a part of the root facing the right way up, and each little piece of root, even if it's only 1 inch long, will turn into a plant. And they are perennial, so they last forever, and I just love the show they give. Quite fleeting, but when they are out in the sunshine, they're absolutely wonderful. So we're just looking at polytunnel for the last knockings. Show you what's going on. French beans, we're starting to twine. Oh, that one needs to learn how to do it. So French beans are up and starting to climb the poles, which is good. Not grown those in here for 2 or 3 years now, so that should give me a cracking crop. And then the new raised bed of doom, I've planted a courgette in, and it's not growing as fast as the ones outside because I think I need to add a lot more organic matter. Look at that, there's my pathetic little cucumber. You never know, once it takes root they might get going, but because there's not a great deal of organic matter in this soil and it's just been freshly dug over, that's probably the reason, but never mind, not the end of the world. So that's about it, folks. Really pleased at the moment with how things have gone. Chuffed to bits, to be honest. Got all my missions done. Things are looking pretty good. So that's about it, folks. I'll see you later.